given access to receive messages of clarity, guidance, and love. As channeler, psychotherapist, and author, Noemi Grace has an intimate dialogue with the divine on your behalf. Lisa Berry intuitively listens and expresses the deep questions on people's hearts and elevates the conversation, while Noemi Grace channels divine wisdom and expansive answers to your deepest questions. Each show's themes are related to self-love, self-healing, relationships, and personal struggles, offers tools that will lead to sacred stability and help you find your best solutions. Join us now as we give you access to angels and grace. Oh, wonderful. Hello, everybody. We're so happy you're here with us on Access to Angels and Grace. I'm Lisa Berry. We've got Noemi Grace over here. Hello, Noemi.
Hello, Lisa. Hello, everyone. We are eager for this topic today.
Yes.
So pass it to you, Lisa.
Eager is a good word, because I always like what comes up in the current, the present moment channeling from you. But our title today is How to Use Disappointment as a Positive Disruptor. And this is I had to have a new relationship with that word disruptor, because, when you think about it, you think, I don't want anything disrupting my state or whatever it is. But a positive disruptor is a very helpful tool. And what we're going to be talking about is focusing on disappointment today, because every one of us has experienced disappointment and will experience disappointment. But how can we maneuver through that?
Yeah. The disappointment is part of being human, And so I don't know if the listeners could hear, but there's a little delay in getting started. And I was saying to Lisa, our show is on disappointment. Here it is, not getting started precisely when we expected. So, thank you for hanging in with us.
Yes, and we can see how this is a positive disruptor too. We could see what comes up in us. So I'll jump into the show description, because there's lots that come up in there. But as we just shared, sometimes disappointment can feel like a setback, especially when we've been in momentum towards our dreams. How do you usually handle disappointment? And does that lead to positive outcomes? Our default tendencies when disappointed often create a negative disruption in our lives. We can become frozen and unable to move towards our dreams. We can get stuck in blaming ourselves or someone else. We believe that our disappointment is a sign that we will never have what we want, or we can become angry and our choices can become destructive. Ooh. So these methods of handling disappointment take the wind out of our sails and leave us unable to continue in the direction of our dream. But what if we could use these disappointments as positive disruptors to help us reevaluate our course and take more empowering actions? In this shift, Noemi, we want to better align with what we're desiring. Like, there's a reason why this is showing this to us and having this thing. And if we sit back and go, how do I react, respond, and handle disappointments? So that's step one. And then we're going to get into all the other fun stuff.
Yeah. And sometimes, that shut down, fine, I'm never going to have what I want, or I'm not ready for it, I guess. And so we take on this sort of, this self-deprecating behavior and miss the goodies that are here. There's something here that can be a gift for us if we're willing to sit with it and to be with it and to see what it has to offer us. But it's so easy to get into that disappointment and just kind of wallow there,
Yes, wallow. Oh, good word. When we say, I was just going to go into that thing when we say, I guess I just wasn't ready for it. I must have not been ready because it didn't show up, or God didn't want me to have it, or these things. It's so shrinking, belittling to ourselves. And we think that perhaps in that time we're just trying to placate ourselves with it. But the difference to me would be soothing ourselves. Like, there will be a time you're disappointed. I mean, you can be sad, you can be angry, but if we go into a place of soothing ourselves at first and not just trying to say, well, I guess that was meant to be or meant not to be, but that's soothing.
Yes. And that takes some self-compassion to recognize that, okay, not really feeling good about this. Okay, this didn't happen, or this happened. This didn't happen that I was hoping to happen, and this happened that I didn't want to have happen. And, and being able to recognize that we need a little self-love, a little compassion, a little soothing, um, and shifting instead of just, like I said, just getting stuck there, or making it mean something about
Ooh.
us or the universe, or,
Yeah, that's
somebody's to blame. Is
valuable.
it us? Is it the universe? Is it them, that person? That mindset of somebody's to blame. Um, and and when we think about it, there's a gift here. There is a
Yeah.
gift. And every
It,
disappointment. I don't know if I told this story on the show, or I know I told it to you, Lisa, but I think I tell it about the sapphire ring. Did I tell it on the
yes, you
show?
told that last show. Yes,
Yes. Okay. So that
because we were talking about
sapphire
gifts.
ring, in case you didn't listen, that my mother gave me, and I lost it when I was 16, and then there was another one, and then I lost it for a while, and I found it underneath the old mattress of the old-fashioned waterbed after months of losing the ring, and just at that point realizing there's a gift here. There is a gift. I need, look for the gift, but you're only going to find it if you look for it. So
Oh,
it's
I
not
like
going to
that.
come
Literally
banging on,
looking for
on the
it.
door. Yes. And right, I
Yes.
was looking for the hole in the waterbed, not that, and I found that gift, and I was so happy when I found it. So there's that gift. It's present if we look for it. If we
Yes, I
don't
like
look
the
for it, we
looking
might
for
not
it.
see it.
Because when we do, yes, if we're not looking for it, we're definitely not going to see it unless it really does show up and you're like, oh, look at that. That's the thing. But in the state of soothing ourselves or acknowledging and stepping back with that lens, like, yes, I am sad. I am disappointed. And then feeling what
Yes.
arises and then saying, okay, so I, I'm trying to think of, I remember last week, I actually, because we'd written the show description and I was really opening my eyes to seeing, oh, I'm disappointed. Wait, stop for a second. Let's look for the gift. I really did that like so many times. It was funny because I don't think that I would normally have done that. I would have waited for time to naturally, you know, make everything better or just move on from it. But I did. I stopped myself in my own tracks, and I remember even sitting down on the edge of the bed. I was like, "Whoa, I'm disappointed. Hold on here. let me look at this." And sitting there and just
I
then I
love
kind
it. Oh,
of I did laugh at myself too, and I went, "Oh, this is kind of funny." But I thought it was cute, and I thought, "All right, let's have a little chat with myself. Let's look, let's see what's coming up." And I thought, could there really be a gift in this? Like, could there be? What could it be? Where would I look? And so it was a neat conversation. I invite you all to have. That's why Noemi and I do these shows so that you guys can all say, "Oh, what's a different way or tool of doing things?" And I know with the pre-channel message, it certainly offers quite a bit of guidance in there for us as well. If you'd like to jump into it.
yeah, yeah. I think I would. No, I would definitely like to jump into it. I think. So let me just grab a swig of water before I read. So if this is the first time you're listening, what Lisa calls the pre-channeled message is me sitting with the divine after Lisa and I have come up with the theme and saying, what do you want to say? Asking and then listening. And I write it down, which is different than my channel in writing is different than in the show where I'm channeling orally. So here's what Source had to say. When life disappoints, a more fulfilling life awaits you. Sometimes things will not go as you want, yet each time this occurs is a precious opportunity for you. You can choose these unexpected disappointments and setbacks as causes for dismay and disillusionment, or you can learn to see them as precious opportunities to reevaluate and course correct if needed. Learn to stop when you encounter an obstacle on the path to manifestation on the road to the life you desire, and train yourself to seize this opportunity to discover if there are better matched choices awaiting you or better paths to attaining or arriving at what you desire. See it all as opportunity because it is. Everything is an opportunity to grow or contract, to deepen your connection or to isolate and withdraw, to expand your vision and desires or to become disillusioned. What you experience as you face these challenges and disappointments is up to you. Learn to see everything as an opportunity for more you, more connection to us and to the truth of who you are, more asking for help, and more fine-tuning of your dreams and goals. Sometimes you experience disappointment because what you desire is not in alignment with the truth of who you are, and you're trying to force something to happen that is a mismatch for you. Yet that very same thing may be a perfect match for someone else. The first thing to do when disappointment arises is to take a closer look at what you desire. Are you choosing something or someone that is not in alignment with the deepest truth of who you are? If so, you may still attain it, but the road will be bumpy because it doesn't match who you truly are and what your deepest purpose is. First, reconnect with yourself when you're disappointed. Remember who you are. That is the first purpose of any human being. Without remembering the beautiful, brilliant truth of who you are, you will have a difficult time recognizing what or who are good matches for you. This is the first lesson and reminder offered by disappointment. Each disappointment is an opportunity to realign yourself with you, the deeper truth of who you are. It is also an opportunity to reevaluate your goals, intentions, and desires, and the manner in which you're going about manifesting them. Once you have affirmed for yourself that your goals are in alignment with who you are, take time to sit with yourself and your goals and see if there's anything that needs to shift. Is there a better, more effective, more self-loving and affirming way to go in the direction of your dreams? Allow yourself to be present with this possibility in the stillness and quiet afforded you by meditation. Then listen in this quiet place to your deepest wisdom. Let it emerge from deep within you. Be willing to wait for it. A little patience here can go a long way. In this patient place, allow awareness to emerge, different possibilities and ideas to arise. And as they do, embrace each one and see how it feels to do so. Is there anything that presents itself to you that feels good, comfortable, and aligned? Can you feel the ease and grace with something? This is a practice. Do not be discouraged or disappointed if at first you feel nothing. Cultivate the ability to stop, reflect, and listen. And as you do, you will start to become aware of the things you didn't notice before. Develop this habit and it will save you much anguish as you align your choices and actions more with the deepest part of you that you are discovering through your willingness and practice of connecting and listening. Develop the mindset of looking to see how you can use every situation to better your life. This will be life-changing for you. You will no longer get knocked down by life's challenges and dismayed or disillusioned when things don't go as expected. You will see those things as meaning that there's something more or better available to you, and you will be encouraged to shift and realign your choices with what is new, better, and more. This shift in perception can transform your whole life and bring you into deeper connection with yourself and us, and also lead to better, more aligned choices that open up new worlds of opportunities and ways of being. Over time, you will find yourself leading a very different and more fulfilling life. And it all starts with your willingness to see disappointments and setbacks as beacons for new opportunities and better aligned choices for you. We delight in taking this journey with you. We are complete in this transmission, yet ever expanding. Namaste.
Oh, there's so many goodies in there. I've got a couple that I'm going to bring up and just dive deeper into them. But one of them really being one of the don't let disappointments turn into discouragement. Like, don't let that be that you're now discouraged. And I want to talk about discouragement when we get back. So thank you for hanging here with us on Access to Angels and Grace.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization Their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour.
if you could find a way,
to get inside
each other's mind.
walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out, and for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
All right. Noemi, are we ready to talk about discouragement?
And disillusionment. They use them both.
Yes. I wrote that word down too. Yes, because disillusionment came up for me, and what I was feeling about like disappointments that come from disillusionment is like you are holding, like say you're going to start losing weight or build muscle, or like say, you're going to see results. You're very like, this is what I'm going for. I'm going to see these results. And you wake up one day and you're just so bloated and there goes the scale. Who knows, right? But you're disillusioned in what you thought the outcome, the result was going to be. And that can be really discouraging. So I just want to have you, difference between disappointment and discouragement. Is one more stuck than the other or just different?
Let's see. Well, I think disappointment happens, right? I mean, we get disappointed. Planning to have, lunch with a friend, and something comes up for them, and they're not able to do it at the last minute. We feel disappointed. We don't, not angry with them, but we feel disappointed. We were looking forward to something, it didn't happen. And then discouraged, maybe if that's, I think that's a little deeper. That's sinking in a little bit more to that disappointment of just like, I've been trying to get together with this friend for this long and it hasn't happened, or, they have too much going on in their life, blah, 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 whatever the story is. I think that, okay. So what I'm hearing is that when we attach a story to the disappointment, we can get discouraged. And then if we really, really work that story, we can get disillusioned, if we're really buying into that story and telling that story, right? Sometimes we have a story about what happened and we tell it to everybody, and we give that, this and that happened to me, and we go and tell people. And so then we can go down to disillusion and feeling like, why bother?
Yes, that is so, and it's all from the story. And because that's what disillusion, an illusion, it's a story that we've, in that moment have kind of grabbed and caught it. So, this is interesting then. This is going to be helpful. So as we are using, our disappointments as positive disruptors, are we disrupting the story, or we want to change the course of action of what we're taking? So we're taking more positive, but are we also perhaps, really disrupting the story and saying, what am I attaching here? What are my beliefs? Yeah.
And the story can be something very small. This weekend we have a freezer for bones because we make homemade soup all the time for about 6 months of the year. And somehow and it's one of those little half freezers with the microwave on top. And so it's not frost free like a real refrigerator. So it was getting more and more frost, and the door didn't seal, and opened it up. And I'm like, yuck. It's just like, and I was like, not this too, you know? It was just like one more. We were on our way to grocery shop, we're writing the grocery shopping list. And it was just like, not this.
One more thing.
You know, so it's
Yes.
just that story of like, oh, here's another thing. Why is it? And so, you know, what does that mean? Why is this happening to me? You know, blah, blah, blah. You know, the poor me story. And so it's so easy that it creeps in. And it took a while for me to shift that kind of out of that frustration. I think frustration, I'm feeling like a whole show on frustration, which is where I was, you know.
Yes.
It took a while to shift out of it. Of course, my poor husband's doing all the work, and I'm sitting there annoyed. He's defrosting it and getting the floor and, you know, mopping the floor and everything because it's a big mess.
I'm imagining the emotions that somebody can go through that. First, they might say, why does this always happen to me? Why can't I have this? And then it can sink into, this always happens to me. See how we're questioning at first, like, and then we're going to sink into owning it. So I'm feeling like that.
Owning the
channeling.
story, right?
Yeah. The channeled
owning
question
that story
is about.
This always happens. Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
How can we start off with disowning or looking or changing the story that we own in the moment of disappointment as we say, hey, this is a positive disruptor, this story. So can we get a little bit more from you, if you'd like to channel on this one, about how to disown the story, I guess. We don't want to disown it because it served its purpose, but now we need to tell it.
We want to change the story. We want to transform it. And so the one thing that I had in the commercial that I had put a box around in the pre-channeled message was develop the mindset of looking to see how you can use every situation to better your life. This will be life-changing for you.
Yes, to better.
I have not quite developed fully that mindset. I mean, I get there usually. Almost all the time I get there, but it's not necessarily in the moment, like you said. Eventually, I was like, okay. I realized that, you know, there were things that I wanted to change where it was, it works so much better for me to shop on Friday than on Saturday anyway. And then yesterday we had to do it on Sunday. So like being aware of the priority of that in my weekend and you know, it just, you know, that actually, when I get it done on Friday, I'm really like excited because then I have a real weekend at the grocery store with all these people on Saturday or Sunday. And on Sunday, you know, things you want are not always there. They're bought out. So it was just like, I realized like, oh, I could, you know, that's what, and so for those of you who don't know me, I'm only 5'1". So I have in my Amazon cart for whenever it's full I'm going to get one of those reachers that the old people have.
Oh my goodness.
Because on the shelf, the store I go to, the shelf is much taller than me. They have a lot of things stacked. It's a huge store. And so I thought, I'm going to take this with me and I can reach the one. There's one thing I really can't reach is coffee filters. I'm going to reach that with this reacher. I'm going to go through the store with the reacher so that if my husband's not available on Friday, I can go by myself.
Oh, you know what? I love that. That's a perfect example of to bettering your life.
Oh my gosh!
When we sometimes just think about change, how do I change my life? How can I, you know, shift my life, transform my life? I really am appreciating the to better your life, because sometimes we can sit back and just say, yeah, I need to change. I need to do this. Well, sometimes we may not be looking forward to some of the things that we want to change in our lives because either the work that we have to do or just it's leaving something behind perhaps. But I like that's so specific and helpful to better your life. If we were to stop and just ask that, that's a goal for me.
Yes, exactly. But and for me, I mean, while this might seem like a silly example, it makes a huge difference for me if I shop earlier on the weekend and I'm not having that hanging over my head. So, and feeling empowered that, you know, I can go by myself. I don't need my husband to reach the shelf. I can do that. So. And I could just ask for help in the store.
Yes.
The other thing instead of the old people reacher.
I like the old people reacher. But let's dive deeper into that about how to change the story that we're attached to so that we can sink into more of the asking and looking
Yes.
and the gifts and bettering. Oh, I like that.
Yes, yes. Let's figure that. So yes, I like the question and juxtaposing it with this mindset of looking to see how you can use every situation to better your life. So I'm going to just grab a swig of water and get silent and then turn it over to the divine to hear what they have to say. Thank you, divine, for being here, for answering our questions. So grateful, so grateful. Just grateful to hear what you have to say and helping us how we can change that story and develop this mindset of how we can seeing how we can better every situation. And we are grateful for this question. We appreciate this time together with you in this way and in this format. And we appreciate your willingness, Noemi Grace and Lisa Berry, to be here as instruments of the divine grace and of the divine wisdom. And we are here offering this to you. Do not beat yourself up. That is the first thing. Do not look at what you didn't do and how you didn't respond and how you didn't shift and how you didn't get there and last time and this time. Recognize every moment is an opportunity to shift. Every moment you can shift a little bit or a lot from where you've been heading. If you've been heading in the direction of poor me, of the story of how this is happening to you or not happening for you, and all of the stories that the mind generates and the ego then perpetuates. And that ego mind will perpetuate the story to anyone who will listen. And recognize that. Hear the story coming out of your mouth. Hear it in your head. Hear it in your mind. And at that moment, you can shift. You can say, I'm not going to support the story right now. Or, that's one way of looking at it. I wonder if there's another way. What else? How else can I look at this? What else is available for me? What is the gift here? Is there a gift here? Is there a gift in this? Or is it really that it is the universe doesn't like me, or whatever the story is that you are saying? Be willing to question that. Maybe even develop the ability to challenge it, to challenge your assumptions and to challenge your stories. Your stories can get in a rut. You can get caught in a rut. The same story repeated over and over again, different events in your life, different people in your life, but the same old story. And that same old story is not one that's uplifting. The story for most of you, and the story that you have learned is one associated with victim consciousness, one that in some way you're being put down or not having enough or not being enough, not receiving enough, not doing enough of all of that. And be present with yourself in all of that and love yourself in all of that. Embrace compassion, embrace yourself. Stop, listen to that story and recognize it's not the truth of you. That is not the truth. It is simply a story that has become bigger and bigger and bigger over time and over the years. The story expands with new chapters that reinforce that same message. It helps when you know the story that you have been telling. What are the main stories that you tell about your life through the years? What are those stories that show how life is either unfair to you, or you are not enough, or life is not enough, or someone else has it better, you have it worse? All of those stories, we call those victimhood, victim consciousness. All of those stories, you've learned to tell them. It's been passed down. These are the stories that have been passed down through the generations. You have learned to tell them from those that came before you. And yet you can learn to tell a new story. You can learn to shift out of that story. Listen. Learn to listen to yourself. As you listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth and the words that are happening in your mind, that as you listen, is this the story you want to tell? Is this how you want your life to be? that story is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once you have started that story the first time, you had facts, you had evidence, you had proof that that story in your mind was true. Yet that story has been perpetuated over time. It becomes like a great myth of some dragon that was vanquished by some conqueror in millennia in the past. It becomes like that. It becomes a story that been told over and over and over again, and it gets expanded and enlarged, and you get dug deeper into that story. And yet that story is not liberating like the slayer of the dragon. That story is keeping you with that dragon breathing down your neck. Learn to recognize that you are more than that story. Learn to recognize that story doesn't feel good. That story is uncomfortable. That story makes you feel bad about yourself. Learning to be with that. If that story makes you feel bad about yourself, there is a better story for you. Don't beat yourself up again, we say. Recognize the fact that you are recognizing that this is a story that doesn't feel good, a story that doesn't embrace you, a story that doesn't uplift you. The more that you're recognizing that, there's a positive shift. Embrace that. Be thankful for that. Stop beating yourself up. We see you, we hear you all day long beating yourselves up internally. Recognize you are so much bigger than what you think you are, and the story you're telling is keeping you small. Start to tell a different story. What if I could tell a better story, a story that would not keep me so small, a story in which I would grow and expand. Start telling that story. Even if you don't believe it, start telling it, and you will start to believe it, because that's what happened before. We love you so much. We appreciate this question. We are rooting for you. We are your greatest cheerleaders. Be fully you, and life will be fully remarkable. Great love. Namaste.
Aww. I liked where that went. I like the dragon coming up. Ooh, okay.
The dragon slayer, yes. So the dragon is still breathing down your neck.
Yes, breathing down your neck was fun. The big question I got out of that was, just like to better your life, here's the next question. Is the story liberating? Oh, that was just like, that summed up the whole thing for me. So we hit a disappointing moment. We're in it. We're in the disappointment. So we stop and we're like, okay, Lisa and Noemi said to stop, and then what? And then so here's a great question. Is the story liberating, like freeing? Is it allowing me to go towards the opportunity? And what here is an opportunity where my life could be better because of this?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And maybe just by simply telling a different story, right?
Yes.
I think that's where they were heading at the end, where by telling that different story, even if you don't fully believe it, you start to believe it. And then that's the story you start to live.
Actually, I like that. That's the story you start to live. Actually, I just want to write that down. That's okay. So here's my question for when we come back. I'm a bit early on the game here, but that's the story that we live. Hold on. My next one was going to be about how do we've got this positive disruptor, because yes, disappointment showed up, but it's okay, because now we're looking for the gifts and the opportunities that match. So when we come back, I'm going to be asking, we're going to talk about how to know if that new thing that we think will better our life is a match, how to know it is the gift or opportunity. And I cannot wait to hear what both Noemi and the Divine have to say about that.
That sounds yummy.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business by tuning in on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain. Join me for your light language activation and let's magnetize and monetize.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
All right, we're going to be playing the matchmaking game here on Access to Angels and Grace. Noemi, that's so interesting because the matching, do I match with it? Am I living a story that will match with what is going to make my life better? Am I a match? Am I in right alignment to something that's liberating? And what if we haven't had a lot of success? Maybe we've had a lot of disappointment and we're like, I don't even know. Like maybe we're in a little bit of victimhood mentality thinking and saying, I've just never had a good life, or life's always poop, So how do when we don't trust that we know what a match is?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can lose
and
faith.
We don't trust until we can develop the trust.
Yes.
Because we will find it unsafe to trust until we can find that safety within ourselves and within our ability to choose and with our connection with the divine. We feel it's unsafe to trust. So, it's for me, it is looking for the confirmation or whatever the opposite of confirmation is. Just confirmation, I don't know, the yes or the no as we're going through, right? We make the choice. Maybe we don't know. We make the best choice that we think in the moment. And being willing to check, yes, no, yes, no, yes, this is great. Okay, yes, is it still great? Is it still yes? Is it still yes? Oh, wait a second. It's a really big no. Maybe it wasn't yes all along. Maybe I thought it was yes, but right. So you date someone and after a while they have this rage episode and you realize, oh, they're really a match, not a rageful person. And so, so it is that willingness to just, we get in a decision and we don't want to change it. We don't want to change the course of, the course of our lives. We want to continue down that. And so we then might see things as matching until it's really in our face that they're not matching. And so it's developing the ability and willingness to course correct as we go along.
It's interesting. And we all know this, but it does take practice to listen and to see how do you feel when it is a yes and when it's a no. Because I totally, that's something we can often do is just, it was a yes, so we're in it, that's the story, but then we now are only keep saying yes because we're staying in the story. Meanwhile, it might be a no. And it's funny. I always go back to this. There's this one time in my life where I knew it was an absolute yes. And this is 20 years ago. I was buying my wedding dress and I had tried on lots of dresses. And then when I put on the dress, it was like, so yes, this is the one. And I always use that as a barometer because it was an absolute, I knew what I felt like with that yes. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like how if we can check in with ourselves, like how do you feel? And let's just say now, if I look back at that dress, it would definitely not be a yes. Well, it might be for me still, but it's out of style or it doesn't work anymore or whatever. Like it's okay, but how to not be. So here's my thing. I would love for you to channel this one. How can we? So it's a yes, and then maybe it's no, or it's a no, and then all of a sudden it's a yes. how can we embrace that, that we're allowed to change, that we are evolving and expanding. And so how can we go, yeah, it's okay. Because I went with, like, a couple months ago, went with a marketing company. They were fantastic, but then they no longer serve the purpose that we were looking for. So we get a new one. It's not that it was a fail, or it's just something that's run its course. So could we have a little bit of that? How to be okay with when we do change the story because it is a match.
We change our choice. You know, we think that we've committed to this path, and we have, and yet we realize we only have a certain amount of data when we make the choice. You know, and we might have a gut feel, but maybe we're not really even clear in our gut. So we just then go with the pros and cons, and we say, okay, this choice is best, and the willingness to change, the willingness to recognize that there's something better, right?
Yes.
Yes, because when we change, it's like a failure, right? It's like, I made the wrong choice, you know?
Right.
And
how to make
what
change
if there's
not the failure?
something better now? What if we're now not that person, or there is something better, and we didn't recognize it at the time? So allowing ourselves to be that imperfect, and having made a choice, and then later on recognizing, this is not the best choice I could make at this moment.
Yes.
And, you know,
I like it.
being that flexible with ourselves. You know? So.
Yes. Oh, wait, so how to make change not a failure?
Or how to make, not just change. I'm going to give a really quick story here. At one time, when I was starting out in psychotherapy, and I also took this part-time job, this organization called Self-Esteem Boston, and they would go to, like, women's shelters, homeless shelters, programs for women with substance abuse and stuff, and teach self-esteem curriculum. And so I was going to go to all of these places and teach this curriculum to these women that were struggling, that they were really not in a good place in their lives. And I thought, I was so enamored by their mission that I took this job. And after the first week of driving all over Boston, which is not, I live 25 miles from it, but it's 45 miles away, driving all over the place in all these programs and having to wait between this program and that program, and just in my car. And I realized, I can't do this. And it's such a long drive from my house. What was that? So I called the woman, and she didn't answer. I was so grateful. I left a message. I've made a horrible mistake. I can't do this. I'm so sorry. After 1 week, I felt like, oh my goodness, this is the worst mistake of my life, you know. And she called me back and said, we all knew it was a risk, but you appreciated just as much as you appreciated our mission, our program. We appreciated you. We saw that you have a lot of gifts. This was not a mistake. We realize it's just not the best match. And that has stuck with me for all these years. That was like 2003 or something. So that 20 years ago. So that has stuck with me. That story of this woman, and this woman, she inspired me. Really, she was quite amazing. But it's not a horrible mistake. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to disappoint these people. That I can't do this. I can't. I was thinking, what happens in winter? I'm going to be sitting in my car, and I just realized I couldn't do it. And it was not a horrible mistake. I had a huge gift from this woman. I hope I gave her a gift. And it was a huge gift that it's not a horrible mistake.
I love that. I'm writing down.
It's just realizing it's not the best match.
Yes, I love that. It's not a horrible mistake. The risk was worth the gift.
Ooh, okay. Like so let's dive into to that. Yes. The risk was worth the gift. Ooh. So I don't know what the question is anymore, but I know that the divine does.
Okay.
I just want to get at it.
You just go.
They are chopping. Okay. I'm going in. That's what I tell them. I'm going in. So, I just want to hear what they have to say. This is going to be good. I do want to hear it. I want to receive it and share it. So grateful. And we are grateful too. It is that in that story that you told, it is a gift to be able to see that there is a better match for you, a better alignment for you, that it is not a mistake. It is a learning. It is everything is a learning opportunity. You make the best choice that you feel you can make, that you think you can make in the moment. Even if you go against your gut feeling, there's something about it that feels to you, that looks to you as the best choice. Even if your gut instinct is saying no, but you look at all the positives on that. You said, oh, this thing has so many positives. So even though you feel not fully convinced that this is the best choice, you choose it because it seems positive to you. Even so, you may be split within you, a sense that there's something here that's not right. But then also you look at it and say, look at all these good aspects. Look at all these good choices. And so you choose it. And if it turns out to be that it was not the best match, embrace that. Be grateful that you recognize this, that you didn't continue going forward over and over and over again with something that isn't the best match, that you didn't continue to go down a path that takes you further and further away from yourself. And what makes it a good match? It is aligned with who you are. It is an alignment with who you are deep down inside that you may not even know. But if it aligns with who you truly are, that makes it a great match. Even if on paper, as you say, it doesn't look so great, but if it's in alignment, it will open doors for you and it will bring you into a deeper connection with yourself and even with us, even if it is not a so-called spiritual choice. Because when you connect more deeply with yourself, you connect more deeply with us because the kernel of divine is inside of you, deep within. And your unique essence is divinely born, and that is within you. And so the more that you are willing to allow yourself to make those so-called mistakes, those things that you label as mistakes, the more that you're willing to do that. If you're not willing, then you enter into paralysis. You stand there, you wait for the answer to become so clear, the lightning bolt from the sky. You're waiting for to hear the divine speaking out loud and something happening that is going to make it so clear for you. Take that pressure off. Make the choice that you can make in the moment that feels best to you. Of course, if it looks good on paper, but it doesn't feel good inside, we ask you to stop and really get to the point where you can reconcile those things. You can reconcile what the mind says and what your intuition says, that you can recognize, you can listen to all of you and then make the choice. So you will make less so-called mistakes if you listen to yourself, if you develop the ability to listen to that place, that intuition inside of you, the place inside of you that speaks truth. Listening to that will help you to make less of these things you call mistakes. And yet, when you haven't listened as well, or you haven't developed the ability and you haven't heard, and you go down a path and you realize after a while, ooh, this is not what you thought it was going to be. Ooh, this is not what I expected. You say to yourself, that's okay, as long as you're willing to allow yourself to make that choice and then to choose something else. Every moment is a choice point. Every moment you have the opportunity to choose more of the same or to choose what aligns more deeply with you, with the truth of who you are. Do you continue down the same path or do you see that there is another path opening for you? And are you willing to make that change? Are you willing? It takes great grace and great love to be willing to change course once you have dedicated yourself to a course. And yet, when you do that, when you are willing to do that and you enable yourself to do that, great opportunities arise and doors open that you couldn't have imagined. Be gracious with yourself. Be kind with yourself and embrace the compassion to see yourself as human, doing the best you can and willing to learn from those choices that you make every day. We love you so much. We appreciate these questions. Great love. Namaste.
always comes back to compassion. I love that.
Wow. Yeah, there was an animation there. Really animated about it.
Yes, and see yourself as human, because if we're waiting for that perfect, no, I'm waiting to feel that most divine, angel. This is the way to go. We might never get that, and we might, but we are human, so we just move forward with the best we can. Oh,
yeah, and that willingness, they mention that a lot, to change course. If a couple things that struck with me. First is when you feel that internal split, it looks good on paper, but it doesn't feel, there's something about it. You feel internally torn, or you feel like resistant to it. Being able to reconcile both the mind and the heart, or the intuition, or however you want to look at that internal split, to get to a place where you can be at peace, and then choose from there. But still, it may not be the best choice for the rest of your life. A door may open a little later. So you might learn of something that you didn't know, and a better choice presents itself. So are you willing to make that choice? That to me is huge.
yes. And you just remind me of a word I wanted to highlight, because we're coming back to, to better your life, the word peace. And that's how we know we're feeling at peace with it. Like you mentioned about the internal split, and that's like when you're like, there's just something not right. I'm just something that is not a match. That is not peaceful. And so if we can feel at least that there's peace in this, then that is the way to, if you do need to shift or change, go towards the peaceful one.
Yes. So if we use peace as a barometer, that will help. But then again, we might still find ourselves, right, that risk with the gift.
Yes.
Going to Self-Esteem Boston, I was totally in with that, It's just...
And it was the gift, and you found the gift after. Look, you're still having it decades later.
Yeah, that story still, that woman still, I don't remember her name, but she really impacted me.
Yeah. So I hope that all of the listeners here have found some way, something that they might just start doing. Maybe it's just sitting down on the edge of their bed and having a chat with themselves, or feeling or tuning in, or being softer on themselves, or asking these questions like, which is the way that's going to be to better my life, and is the story liberating? And let's use peace as a barometer to at least, know if we're on the right path, and to find those gifts and the opportunities. I certainly have.
Yeah.
I have so much from today's show. Thank you, Noemi.
Oh, thank you, Lisa, as well. And thank you, Divine. I received so much from all of that. I can't remember everything, but I'm looking forward to listening to it, and posting the replay link so anyone can listen to it.
Absolutely. So we do encourage you to leave a comment when you do listen, so we know that you're here. And any future topics, I think that you mentioned frustration. So perhaps we'll dive into frustration over the next few shows.
That sounds good to me. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.